What's up, everybody? My name is Connor Green. If you don't know who I am, I'm a health and fitness coach in Los Angeles, California. I own 2 gyms. I put on about 100 pounds since I graduated high school. I've had surgeries, I've had injuries, I've made every mistake imaginable, and now I am focused on taking the lessons that I have learned in person and bringing them to the internet. And today, we're reacting to a Greg Doucette video where he is reacting to and critiquing KSI. There's gonna be a lot of really awesome bits of information that you can take and apply in your life. Get this thing going.
Yes, man in your corner, that is something you do not need.
Good. Yours. All right. Outstanding.
Outstanding!
Okay, before we get into this, I have to say, I have to give much praise to Greg. So I've been following Greg on YouTube for a long time. He's an IFBB pro bodybuilder, owns several successful companies, supplements, clothing brand, and the guy is awesome on YouTube. He puts out like 2 videos a day. I have watched nearly all of his videos for years. Like, I might be his #1 watcher. So I absolutely love Greg. If you don't follow him, you should. He's a constant source of amazing information. And I think the most important thing is he seems like a really amazing guy. He is famous for saying that he tells people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I saw this video and there are a few things in here that Greg gets wrong and we need to talk about them. So Greg, I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Of course, with all due respect, let's get started.
Coach Greg in today's video, highly requested. Everyone says, Coach Greg, you gotta check out KSI. He has no idea how he's lifting. His form, it's horrible. The guy, he likes to box, and he does in fact have an amazing physique. He's got a full, defined six-pack, plenty of muscle, and I do believe the guy is 100% natural. But does he have a clue how to work out? Does he know what he's doing? Or is it all genetics?
And today we're gonna find out how strong your boy really is.
And the first thing you need to understand is this is not a fitness trainer. He doesn't have a personal training certificate. He hasn't gone to university. He's not a kinesiologist. And he's taking a chance. He's saying, look, this is how I work out.
Okay, so the first thing that I have to add in here, because this is something that I think is really important, your credentials really don't mean that much in the field. I know that Greg would probably strongly disagree with me, and anybody in academia is going to disagree with me. But ultimately, what you're making there is an argument from authority. What that is saying is, I am someone, so my argument is better. But the reality is that your argument can be wrong, even if you are someone. So you can be a certified whatever, you can have whatever degrees that you want, and you can still be wrong about things. So at home, what you should take away from this is just because someone has a credential doesn't mean that they're correct or that what they're saying is true, that they have done it for anyone else, or that their results are a result of their certifications and their credentials. And in fact, we see this a lot. People have a certain credential and they have an amazing physique, but the reason why they have that amazing physique probably has nothing to do with their credential. The reason why they went and got that credential is because they already had that amazing physique. So this is something that I think Greg does quite a bit. He goes, well, you know, people have certain credentials, therefore that they're going to be right. And that's just not the case.
I normally do a little warm-up, about 100 calories on here.
And so he starts off his workout by burning approximately 100 calories, of which it takes him about 7 minutes. And so to me, that is amazing. He doesn't skip the workout, and he has a specific calorie goal in mind. Many people will skip out on the warm-up, but the warm-up is important. If you're trying to prevent injuries, you really want your body to get warm. All the muscles are getting worked out, and so if he's going slower in one day, he might have to go 8 minutes. If he's going faster, it might take him only 6 minutes. And just to ensure that he really is warmed up, he's not done yet. He does overhead squats with very light weights, tapering up to 40.
So this is something that we're definitely going to spend some time talking about in this video. KSI, awesome. I think he's absolutely hilarious. The content's awesome. What he's been doing is truly incredible and very laudable. His technique, though, is absolutely terrible. Kids at home, do not look at the way that KSI trains and try to train that way. So even just looking at these overhead squats, there are millions of things that we could say about this. The shoulder position is not great. Could have his elbows locked out, needs to get his butt back, his knees out, bring the stance in a little bit, and squat lower. So there's lots of issues here. So if you're going to be doing some sort of a warm-up, I like the idea of hopping on a bike, walking, light jog, rowing, something like that. But going right into overhead squats after that, something that is pretty technique intensive, involves a lot of mobility, is something that I wouldn't have people do. You're much better off doing other more simple forms of warming up.
5 kilograms, which is just around 100 pounds. And many of you are going to be thinking, well, he's not squatting low enough.
He's not.
You really think you need to squat below parallel every time you do a squat?
Yes.
What do you believe his goals are? Remember, he's training for boxing. He's not training to get huge quads and glutes. And so I see nothing wrong with doing overhead half squats as part of his warm-up. He's not pushing the envelope, he's not eagle lifting, and notice he began with very lightweight and slowly tapered up. This is his warm-up, and how you choose to warm up, to me, that is up to you.
So this is something that Greg misses the boat on. He's wrong about this. Yes, you do need to have proper range of motion, even if you're just warming up, and even if you're not trying to get giant quads and glutes. We really need to think about, as people in the fitness industry, what message are we sending to people? And right now, this message that Greg is sending is that it's okay to have bad technique because you don't want big quads and glutes. The reality is you need to have solid technique before you do other things, and that solid technique involves a full range of motion. Now, there are some cases where people can't have a full range of motion. If you take somebody that's 90 and they're just getting into the gym for the first time, they probably can't have a full range of motion. They may not be able to get it, but doing some sort of squatting or some sort of lifting is going to be better than not doing it at all. This is someone that is putting themselves in the elite athlete category. There is absolutely positively no reason why KSI couldn't do a single one-on-one with me and we clean up his form entirely, and then he can do his warm-ups with really solid technique, and people don't look at him and go, well, if KSI does it, then I can have really bad technique. So this is something that Greg misses the boat on. Yes, you have to have full range of motion, and yes, you have to do it right when you're warming up, and yes, even if you don't want big quads and glutes in your KSI, you have to do it the right way.
These are front squats.
And he chooses this as he's trying to develop more of his core. Front squats are a great movement, but for most people, very difficult to do. And so if your goal is simply...
And that's also just not true. If you have a really high quality coach, these are very, very simple movements that almost anybody can learn in 20 or 30 minutes correctly if you have a high quality coach with a high quality system that has been doing it for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of repetitions. So I disagree with this too. Front squatting is not that difficult, especially not for someone that's in as good a shape as KSI. There's no excuse for having this bad form.
Muscle hypertrophy, you're going in the gym to build an aesthetic physique, it's likely not the best exercise choice for you. But remember, he's a boxer trying to have a tight core, and he doesn't really care about having massive quads. What they're working more is on explosive strength and power, and not having a full range of motion throughout the movement. And so although many people are going to be critical, saying, how in the heck are you squatting that? Those are half squats, quarter squats. Does he really need to squat to parallel in order to be a great boxer? The answer is no.
No, he doesn't need to squat to parallel or below parallel in order to be a great boxer. But if he wants to maximize his chances at being the best athlete he can, then yes, he needs to. So he's saying that developing explosive strength and power. And what this really is just a misunderstanding of the terminology. So strength is the ability to produce force against an external resistance. That's all it is, the ability to produce force against an external resistance, and power is being able to generate that very quickly. So there's no specific movements that you need to do, the special movements or special ways in order to develop those skills. What you need to do is focus on getting stronger in the main lifts and doing some Olympic lifting, power cleans and power snatches, in order to be able to take that extra strength and get good at recruiting all of the new strength that you have and turning that into power, which happens really quickly. This is something I see all the time, and I'm not necessarily surprised about that because Greg is in the bodybuilding world where you're necessarily doing lots of isolation movements that's very, very specific to the goals that you have. What's being missed here significantly is if you want to become explosive and you want to get really strong, you have to train the main lifts to get really strong using basic progressive overload. And as Greg says, you have to train harder than last time. So I'm really, really surprised that Greg is defending this sort of movement, especially when this guy has such a giant platform. You know the number of people that are watching KSI's really terrible squats and going, well, if KSI can do it, then why can't I? I should be doing what he's doing. And then you have someone like Greg that's going in there and defending this sort of movement. If anything, when we're in the fitness industry, we need to be extra critical of ourselves and extra critical of the form that people are using, because that's why people get hurt. Like it's shocking to me that this is something that Greg is defending when people struggle to get in the gym in the first place because they don't know what they're doing and they have bad technique. And then now we're saying it's okay, which is something that we should not be saying.
How often during a boxing event are you halfway down? Only if you're getting knocked out do you ever go halfway down, and so to squat that low, it wouldn't be of much benefit. In using the principle of specificity, your movements should resemble those of the actual competition. And so in a...
No. This is 100% wrong. No, they shouldn't. This principle of specificity is 100% wrong. It's a complete misunderstanding of the way that people get strong and then how they apply that strength to their sport. What you need to be doing in the gym is trying to get as strong as you can through the most effective range of motion. You take that strength and you apply it in the ring. So yes, every single boxer, every single MMA person, every single jiu-jitsu person, every single soccer player, tennis player, doesn't matter what it is going to benefit by getting really good at the full depth squat, the deadlift, the bench press, the chin up, the overhead press, the main movements in a full, complete range of motion, and then taking that increased strength and explosiveness and applying it to your sport as you practice. And that's what KSI should be doing, and he would be much better off doing that. This law of specificity is completely misguided and 100% not true. What this is like saying is that a tennis player should just use a weighted tennis racket. A baseball player should just use a weighted bat and weighted cleats and a weighted helmet and a weighted arm guard and weighted batting gloves in order to develop power to hit home runs. But we know that that's not true. If you want to hit home runs as a baseball player, your bench press has to go up, your squat has to go up, your deadlift has to go up, your press has to go up. You develop your strength in the gym as much as possible. You get as strong in the gym as you can, and you take that strength and you apply it on the court, you apply it in the field, you apply it wherever you happen to be using it. So this is something that Greg is wrong about, and it's shocking how bad it is. Other thing that I think is important is strength is the most general physical adaptation there is. And what Greg is literally saying is, hey, you have to do this that's really, really, really specific. Develop specific strength for this specific task. And it's 100% wrong. If you're deadlifting, you don't just get strong in the deadlift. If you put 200, 300, 400 pounds on your deadlift, your bench press would go up. Everything about you gets stronger. Everything about you gets bigger. Everything about you gets more athletic. You are a much stronger, fitter athlete when your deadlift goes up. And that's regardless of the sport that you play. And that's not super specific. In fact, it's extremely general because the adaptation of getting stronger is extremely general. You get stronger muscles everywhere. You get stronger bones everywhere. You get stronger tendons everywhere. You get stronger ligaments everywhere. When you're strength training, you don't do something super specific so that way you get really strong ligaments in your right arm. That doesn't make any sense. You deadlift and you squat so that way you get stronger ligaments everywhere. So you have to train generally in the gym. The more generally in the gym that you train, the better the athlete you will be at your specific task.
Boxing match, you're typically not squatting or bending the legs more than about quarter of the way down. And so does it make sense for him to do full squats? No.
Jesus.
Yes, it does, and I just explained why.
Strong, you know. Dylan's wrecked. He's getting destroyed.
Now, although he does have the energy of Jesse James West, the guy's amped up. He's not practicing safe sets. After all,
I wonder why, Greg. His form's terrible. Like, how are we calling out his safe sets when you're condoning his terrible, terrible form? I love Greg so much, but this video is just such a loss. I don't get it.
where are the collars? And
Where are the collars? Look at his form.
Last time you saw a guy doing front squats with one person on each side of the bar with their hands right there? Why doesn't the guy have collars on the bar? And why are there no safety bars on the side of the squat? If you can't get the lift, the safety bars are there for a reason. You drop the weight on the safety bars and you walk away. Rather than needing two spotters on either side of the bar with their hands clasped around that bar.
This is literally the least of this guy's concern. Are we really trying to sit here and say he has too many spotters? I mean, I totally understand that if you're throwing in too many people into a lift, that can cause something bad to happen. I've seen videos, weightlifting videos like this. Maybe we'll comment on some in the future. The guy's going, he's got two spotters, and one of them thinks he's going to miss the lift and the other doesn't. So one person grabs the weight on one side and ends up being a total disaster. I completely get this, but we're criticizing not having collars. We're criticizing having too many spotters, but the form, oh, that's just okay because it's KSI and he's a boxer. Makes no sense.
What is the point of that? Oftentimes what will happen with a spotter on either side of the bar is if something does go wrong, say he hurts his back, trips or whatever, one person grabs the bar before the other, the bar goes sideways and you're tweaking your lower back. It's not a great way to spot. The way to spot this is
It's not, and I just said that. Again, the irony here of tweaking your lower back. The main way that this guy is going to get injured is not from a freak spotting incident. It's from consistently terrible form.
not with a person on either side. Better off with collars, having safety bars on the rack, and having one spotter from behind just in case.
Yes? It's okay.
And so unfortunately, 140 kilograms, we do not see his knees. We do not see how low the bar is going.
But why does it matter, Greg? We spent 10 minutes making the case that it doesn't matter.
And as you know, you do not need to break parallel during a front squat, especially for a boxer. But half squat, that seems to make sense. But as he's going heavier, he seems to be cutting his reps a little bit shy.
I wonder why. It's because he's not being held to a specific standard. Greg is making the case for why he's wrong in his own video. This guy's form is getting worse as the weight gets heavier and he's getting more tired. Why? Because he's not following a specific criteria for making a lift, which would be having solid form, squatting below parallel every time. If you can't do it with a light weight and the warm-ups correctly, it's not going to happen when the weight gets heavy, which is why you have to have excellent, truly excellent form with no weight.
Going as deep on the heavier reps. And why is that? Well, because he's ego lifting.
I did this with Ethan, and Ethan was better than me at this. Not anymore, fam.
He just said it. Ethan used to be stronger than me, but not now. Now I can beat him. Now I'm better. I'm stronger. And so
it's almost like his form is terrible so he can lift more weight.
Because he's progressive overloading, but cheating the reps.
Are we for real? Now he's cheating? I don't get it, Greg. It's cheating and terrible the whole time. Not now. It pains me. It pains me.
Letting his ego dictate the weight, and so I don't believe his form is as good as it could be.
Good. George. Outstanding.
Yeah, let's squat down.
The guy's standing right there. God, I hope that's not his coach.
Twist side to side, hover our way up, not go low enough. Outstanding, amazing.
Now we're not going low enough? I don't get it. This video is all over the place. Now we're not going low enough? It's not good, guys. This is not good.
Yes, man in your corner, that is something you do not need. You don't need people telling you what...
It's almost like it would be helpful if someone was there to go, hey, those overhead squats you were doing?
Telling you what you want to hear. You need people telling you what you need to hear. That was not a really good squat. It was too heavy, wasn't low enough, form was not bang on. And that is a recipe for an injury. And so I don't see the benefit.
Is this Greg arguing against himself now? You have all this money, you have all this time, you have all this fame, you have everything, and you are not getting somebody that can coach you to have even just okay form. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. I would never, ever allow anybody that I cared about, and even some people that I don't, to squat like this.
Of a boxer attempting 1 rep maximums, in particular if they're doing quarter reps with the potential of getting hurt.
Yeah, so what Greg is saying here, he doesn't see the point of a boxer attempting a 1 rep maximum. So 1 rep maxes are extremely important. Now, if you are somebody that is training in the gym, but your main priority is outside of the gym, you don't necessarily have to do 1 reps. Maybe you're not developing necessarily the mental fortitude or the strength to be able to get really good at 1 reps. No problem. But you do need to be doing things that are very, very heavy. 5 reps, 3 reps, and the reality is these types of athletes certainly have the ability to form 1 rep maxes. And the point of this is to know that you're getting better. And what it is every time you do a 1 rep max, you're producing more force than you ever have. That's what a personal record is in a 1 rep max. You are producing more force than you have ever produced before. You're unlocking a new level of force production. Then you can take that force production, you produce it quickly, and now you have power. And that's what this guy needs to knock people out, which is why it's really important to do that with a full range of motion. So yes, there is certainly a point to doing 1 rep maxes, 2 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes, 5 rep maxes. Now, this guy's form is absolutely freaking terrible, and I wouldn't let him do a 20 rep max with a super lightweight. I wouldn't let him do any of this stuff because his form is particularly bad. So, and Greg is even saying here, what's the point of doing a 1 rep max on a quarter squat when you could be getting hurt with so many spotters? We seem to be on the same page, Greg, but it's going back and forth here. Sometimes what this guy's doing is okay, and sometimes it's ridiculous. And actually, the entire time, it's completely 100% ridiculous.
He got tucked under the shirt. And so is he, in fact, a powerlifter? After all, I just watched him lift a 1 rep max on the squat, and now he's doing partials on the bench press.
3, 2, 1. Up. That's your bar. Down. Work. Speed up. Easy. Fucking hell. Yeah, easy, guys.
And on that day, not a single rep on the bench press was done.
Not a single rep on the squat was done either, Greg.
When somebody is holding the bar from start to finish, you did not lift the weight. You together lifted the weight. It was a team event. And so you just said a tandem 1 rep max on the bench. Yay! How much could you have lifted without your spotter helping you the entire time? We don't know. And so what is the point of setting a PR if the person's hands are on the bar? The last thing I want when going for a 1 rep max is somebody touching the bar. I don't even want them hovering near the bar. And so do not interrupt a 1 rep max by touching the bar, especially on the way down. You're there for an emergency. If the guy can't get it up, if the bar starts to go down, lift it up.
Speed it up. Easy. Fucking hell. Yeah, easy, guys.
Is this a bounce it off of a springboard partner bench press challenge? What exactly PR did we see right now? 130 kilograms easy.
I just don't understand why this bothers Greg. I really don't, especially after what was set up with the squatting. And the squatting, it's this defense, it's okay, he's a boxer, it's KSI, doesn't matter, quarter squat's okay, shit form okay, all that stuff totally fine. But the bench press is like really offensive to Greg. I don't get this at all.
Well, if it was so easy, why don't you try it without bouncing it off some spring-loaded mechanism underneath the shirt? Now listen, if he is in fact trying to increase his 1 rep max for board press, that's fine. But he should
Now 1 rep max are okay.
be pausing the weight at the bottom. When you do touch and go bench presses with a heavy weight and you're bouncing it off the chest, that is a very likely situation where you could pull a pec. And even more often, this occurs with sloppy technique, when you're ego lifting. And so leave the ego at the door. Pause the weight on the chest. Sure, you'll be 10 or 20 pounds lighter than you could have got, but imagine saving yourself an injury. How much are you going to lift after a pec tear?
Stuff like this to help me, maintain.
I mean, what about the law of specificity here, Greg? If I'm a boxer, I only need to punch this far. Why isn't he doing bench presses like this, to really just target the range of motion that he needs to get strong at as a boxer? Obviously, we know that that's not true. He's going to benefit from proper technique and a full range of motion bench press, even if he's throwing a jab.
My body to make sure I don't get injured.
And remember, he says, I'm just trying to maintain my body. I'm not trying to get huge. Boxers in particular, they don't want massively huge muscles. Many times they compete in certain weight classes, and so adding a bunch of muscle, it could be a hindrance. But he does mention he wasn't training this heavy at the start of camp. He slowly worked his way up. And so perhaps the start of camp, he was using lighter weights for higher reps, and as the weeks progressed, he was trying to progressive overload. Unfortunately, people think that they can progressive overload every single week. Every single workout, you need to get stronger, add more weight, add more reps. The body doesn't work like that. It can't always be at its peak. It can't always be getting better. There's certain workouts, certain days, you're just not going to feel it. And so you might not be able to get as many reps. It's okay. What you should be doing is going to the gym and focus on training harder than last time. You won't always be able to train harder. Some days you won't be able to push as hard. You'll feel overtrained, injured, whatever. You simply look at your last workout and try to do better. And if you don't, that's okay. You gave it your all. The next workout back, if you had a bad day, look at that last workout. Can I beat that? I had an off day last Monday. What am I going to do this week? I'm going to try to beat that off day. And if you do, great. You keep trying to progressive overload that way. If you always have in your mind you have to lift more weight or do more reps, well, what's going to happen is you're going to break form. Your ego, even subconsciously, is going to have you cheat the reps. You might swing more, bounce the weight more, not squat as deep. And so please, don't think you always need to get better and leave your ego at the door. It takes a lot more discipline to use the same weight or a lighter weight and lift with impeccable form, slow the reps down, increase time under tension, than it does to just bang out another rep using sloppy technique.
Extra 20.
Which is just completely incongruent to what he was saying on the squats. Now, that doesn't take away from the message that he's sending. It's a tremendous message here to focus on getting a little bit better in the gym, but that you can't always. So you can take a measured approach. I've seen this over and over as a coach at my gyms, online clients, where people get so addicted to getting better, they have a day where they can't get better and it crushes them and they don't want to go back to the gym. So the reality is, yes, you cannot get better every time that you're going to the gym, but if you're a beginner, if you're a novice, you should be getting better every single time that you go to the gym. And you should, if you have a correct program and a correct coach and you're doing things the right way, you should have truly excellent form with extremely light weight when you're just starting as a beginner. So then as you get heavier and you get stronger over time, you're able to maintain that form. So it's interesting to me, Greg is such a preacher on using the right weight, not ego lifting, going down in weight if you need to, and launched a defense of, what's just amounted to really bad training practices here by KSI.
Just to make my life a little harder.
And so on the chin-ups, those were not full range of...
But why does that matter? Like, he's a boxer, Greg. Does he ever pull anything ever in boxing? Why should he spend any time doing chin-ups at all or pulling towards his body at all? Don't you only push in boxing? Shouldn't the law of specificity take over here? No, obviously not.
Why are we doing such low reps? Last I checked, boxers are throwing hundreds of punches in a fight. Does it really matter how strong you are on one rep? Or does it matter more, how often can you throw that punch? How fast can you recover?
Yes, it does matter how strong you are in one rep, because then you're able to produce more force in that single rep over and over again. This is a really common misconception people have. Now imagine what Greg is saying is essentially you're throwing hundreds of punches in a boxing match. How you can look at that is you're doing 5% of your 1 rep max for 1,000 reps. You're gonna be a much better boxer if you can throw, if 5% of your 1 rep max is really high than if 5% of your 1 rep max is lower. So yes, the maximal strength that you are able to produce in the gym is going to equate to more power consistently over all of your punches in the boxing ring.
How fast can you recover? Can you throw 100 punches in a minute? Versus, can you just throw 1 punch and you're done? For me, much more important to have explosive power, which is developed by using lighter weights for greater speeds, than it is to simply do 1 rep maxes. And he likes to finish.
I would wonder, in talking to Greg, what he means by explosive power. There's just power. It's force produced quickly. And the more force that you can produce, the more power you're going to be able to output. He needs to get as strong in the gym as he can and take that strength and apply it to boxing. He's gonna be a better boxer that way. It's that simple. We don't need any of this specific shit. We don't need explosive power versus power or slow power. There's just power. And the best way to improve your power is to be able to produce more force, which is getting stronger. That's what we have to do. It's not that hard.
He likes to finish off his workout with several sets of abs. And listen, the guy's a boxer. He needs to have very strong core. But if you're just lifting for hypertrophy, you don't need to train your abs every single workout. Will you train your chest, shoulders, back every workout? Probably not. And so there's no reason to train your abs more than any other body part. And so I see nothing wrong with him showing his workout. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but the guy's trying. He's clearly in amazing shape. I mean, check the guy out, strips down, flexes the abs. Look at the body. He's very confident, has an amazing physique, and I do believe he's natural, and it's working for him. Now, it's not perfect. I would prefer to not see him ego lift so much and lighten the weights a bit, but aside from that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with him doing this workout. And considering he's doing the weights in addition to all that cardio, well, there
are a lot of things wrong with this workout. He should not be putting out fitness content that sets such a bad example for people. It's extremely important, I think, for people like this to be able to invest in high quality coaching to make sure that they're doing this stuff right. There are so many people that are gonna look at this and go, it's okay that I have this form, and then they're gonna get hurt, and then they're never gonna go to the gym again. So I think that's wrong with this. The next thing is he's leaving tremendous amounts of progress on the table by not having a good coach, by not having a good program, and not understanding basic concepts like force production and power and how you improve those, how you improve them in the gym, and then how you apply them to the ring. So while there's nothing morally wrong about this, there's tremendous room in here for improvement.
And so let me know in the comment section, what do you think of this guy's workout? What about his physique? Do you guys think he's natural, or do you think he's using PDs? Subscribe, click the bell button, like the video if you liked it, watch one of the bloops, follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IFB Bro. Don't forget the cookbooks, the training books, the coaching plans by me and my team, phone consults, cameos. Click the link in the description. And until next time, I am out.
In here, Greg says, if you don't like the video, leave a comment. Well, I'm making a reaction video, so I think that's gonna be better than a comment. 99% of what Greg says is true. He's a tremendous source of information, but there are things in here that are just missing, they're either not correct or they're mostly not correct. Make sure that you're hiring a coach. Make sure that you have good form in your warm-ups, because if you don't have good form in your warm-ups, it's not gonna be good when you're under load, and that's ultimately how people get injured. The next biggest thing to take out of this is you just need to focus on getting stronger in the gym if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're golfing, whether you're tennis, whether you're playing football, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You need to focus on the basic lifts, getting stronger in the gym, and taking that strength and applying it to your sport. You don't do specific shit in the gym, you do general shit in the gym, you do specific stuff on the field. Because obviously playing tennis doesn't make you better at basketball, but squatting makes you better at both. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Yo, tag Greg in it. Maybe he'll respond. I've been a big fan for a long time. It'd be really interesting to hear what he thinks.